Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and what I thought we'd do, before this goes back in its box and gets put away until I actually, perhaps start using it on its project, thought it'd be kind of fun if we could actually set this up, connect it up, and then actually get it to play some records. So I thought that's what we'd do in this the video. Actually, it's not going to be a long video or anything, and we're not going to go to the full, fully setting this up or anything. I'm just going to set it up well enough that we can, like I said, play a few records on it. I am not going to use the brand new old stock cartridge that I got with it. I'm actually keeping that for another record player. In fact, the cartridge I'm going to use for testing now isn't the cartridge that I'll probably end up using in this, because this is just a mono. This is a BSR X5M. Stereo compliant, medium output mono cartridge, so this is ideal just for demonstrating this. So what we'll do, let's get the cartridge mounted in the head shell, and hopefully this is going to be heavy enough to, which side is positive and which side is negative on this. There should be a little plus and minus marked. I can't seem to see which one it is. I'll have to guess. I'll tell you what, this is going to be fiddly. Just bear with me a sec. I'll come back as soon as I've got this connected into the head shell and we can carry on. So back in a sec. Right, okay, I managed to get that fitted. That was a little bit fiddlier than I was hoping, because the little connections were actually really tight. Excuse me. So we know we've got a good contact there, but they were a little bit fiddly to get on. And yes, that is a PC, an old PC screw that I've used to mount it to the actual clip. Simply the fact it's something I found just lying on the bench, and it was the right thread to go into the top of that cartridge. So that's simply why I've just used that. So it won't be staying like that when you actually use this thing proper, but it does give. I mean, that feels decent. I've not actually put the scales on it, but that doesn't feel too heavy or too light there, so I'm quite happy with that. Right, let's flip this thing over. Unfortunately, what I have done is figured out basically the connections on here, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tags there. Fortunately, from what I can see, that's not connected to anything. That's not connected to anything, I don't think. Well, actually, yes, they are. Oh, poo. Yes, there is. That's got a very thin winding on that side and a very thick winding on that side. So, no, that isn't connected to anything, that one. It's got a little piece of wire just kind of like wrapped on it there, but there isn't actually anything connected to it. But that's got a thin wire, that's got a thin wire, that's got a thick wire, and that's got a thick wire. So have we got, I think on this we've got a secondary tapping to basically provide voltage for, I'm presuming, like a transistorized amplifier or something like that. So these two here will be our 220 volt tapping. So what I'm going to do for now, let me just tin up a little piece of wire. In fact, what we'll do is we'll get the meter out in a minute and we'll just double check that, because basically whichever has got the highest resistance of those two windings will be the mains winding, and the one with the lower will be the secondary winding. So the high resistance will be the primary, which I think will be that one, and the lower resistance will be the secondary, which I think is that one. So just bear with me a second and let me get a meter, and then we'll come right back and we'll just test that out. So, oh, in fact, actually, I might be able to get, oh yeah, I can get to my meter without having to shut the camera off. Wonderful. Right, let's set that to about there. Let's get some probes out. I'll use my sharp ones here. make sure I've got there, that's about right. Okay, so we're on 2000 ohms on the meter here. Let's try what I believe to be the secondary, which is these two. And there we've got a reading of about 4 ohms. Now let's go on to what I believe is the primary, which is here and here, and this should be higher. There we go. We've got 388 ohms. So that is definitely our primary, and like I said, we've got a secondary there. We can probably 12 volt or something like that secondary. Let's shut that off for a second. We'll add a little extra solder to these. Like I said, this again will be coming off. This is just temporary while we play about with it. So we'll just add a little bit of extra solder to those 2 points. That's on there. We'll do the same with this one up there. Okie dokie. Now, because this is a quick test, this is literally all I'm going to do. I'm just going to connect them through my safe block to give it power. This is actually quite nice, as in it's got a auto start and shut off mechanism actually on the turntable. Essentially here we've got a little switch, and how it works is we'll be able to see it a little bit better when we've actually got the got this thing energized. But basically how that works is to start the, normally when this is all set up properly, to start the turntable, what you do is you lift the arm, pull it that way, which will actually start the turntable. But then as the arm moves in and this is turning, when it gets to a certain point, have you heard that clunk there? It actually resets that switch and shuts the motor off. Now, like I said, we're not going to worry about any of that today, because I just want to see this spin and be able to put a record on it and play a record and check that the speeds work and everything like that. So we've got a way of connecting mains to the motor, and that, like I said, for what we're doing today, that's all we really need. We do need to be able to connect an output from the cartridge up to my signal tracer here so we can hear what it's doing. And also, this is actually quite nice. The actual output is switched as well. So basically, when the arm is moved away like that, it breaks the contact for the phono cartridge, so you don't get any clicks or pops or anything while you're handling it. So it was quite nicely thought out, this, what we want to do. We're not going to, again, we're not going to worry about any of that today. We need to connect these wires, and there will be a little bit of hum for the simple fact that I'm not really this is not a shielded cable or anything, but that's not going to matter for what we're trying to do today. So let's connect that there, and we are on that one down there. So that should get us the cartridge working. Let's spin this back over, and we can test that part of it. So if I switch on my amplifier, I'm not getting anything there. There we go. See what I mean? And then when we're going into the middle, and it shuts it off. Right, what we need to do is I need to find some way of actually getting this so it's we can't really plug it in like that. So let me see if I can find something this can be stood on, and then we can actually try powering this up, and like I said, try playing a record on it. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back. As you can see, I've got a basic setup here. I found a couple of tool cases which are basically the same size, so I've just got it sat between those, so it's nice and level, but there is no, you know, spring loaded or anything, so there will be a little bit of noise, extra noise that we're going to get through it, but it'll still work for us seeing how well this is going to actually perform. And I've got, the problem we are going to have is 45s, because I will get a copyright strike no matter what I've got which I play. 33s and 78s aren't so much of a problem. I've got some things we can play there which aren't going to be an issue. In fact, let's start. We'll power this in, we'll energise it. And let's try just letting it play without anything on it at all. So I'll lift the arm and we'll pull it this way to start it. Now obviously we have got a little bit of hum there, but as I said, that's just because of the way we've got it hooked up, but we've got some output there. And now hopefully if I bring this into the centre, it should actually shut the turntable off. There we go, and it shuts the turntable off. So that seems to be working nicely. Let us let's try playing 33 record on it and see how well it does. So we'll play a bit of Gilbert and Sullivan, because I don't seem to get a copyright strike with this. What did we play last time? Let's have some Pirates of Penzance. We'll put that on the record player like that. We've got the stylus set to a micro groove because this is a turnover cartridge. The other reason I wanted to use it does actually have a proper 78 stylus on it, unlike the Arcos one I got with this, which is for micro groove records only. So let's start the record. Let's see how it works. Seems to have oh, hang on, that's better. Let's move that out of the way. Actually, that's not too bad. Let's move it into the middle and let's see if it'll actually shut the record off. So we'll go right into the middle. Sounding bad at all. Now, is it going to shut the record off? That's the question. Let us see. It's moving in. Is it going to trigger though? There we go. Worked. Excellent. So we'll move that back out. Take the 33 RPM record off. Go on, get in the... There we go, pass it back in. Right, I'll try a 45, but I can literally only play, you know, a couple of seconds of this or else I'll get hit with the copyright. Which should I try? Let's try that one. Yeah. And something else I've noticed as well is that that centre cutout there is actually bigger than the jukebox knockout in the centre of these records, so it doesn't actually work. If you look around there, you can actually see it's actually slightly bigger, but never mind. I mean, that's not a problem. Let me just give this record a quick clean, because I've just realised it's rather dusty. There we go, that's better. These aren't in brilliant condition anyway, they are just test records. We'll move the speed selector from 33 up to 45. And let's try playing a little bit of this. So again, we'll start the record. I can only play a little bit at the start, and I'll play a little bit at the end. Okay, and again we'll play a little bit at the end.
Rolling Stones.
Let's just see it again if it shuts off at the end of the record.
Jimmy Reed too, baby.
Let's just see now. It moves in, and excellent there. You saw it shut off. So it's not a bad little deck, this, really. It will certainly, I think, do for what I want this deck for, which is, like I said, that Japanese radiogram that I've got. Right, as a final thing, we've got a big 12-inch old 78 here. Let's see if it can play that. So again, we'll move the speed selector over onto the 78 position. We'll stick that on the turntable. And this is a heavy old record. And we'll go over from microgroove to the 78 position on the cartridge. And again, let's try this. Oh, in fact, let me just give that a quick dust, because again, that's a little bit dusty, that record. There we go, that's better. We'll put that on there like that. And again, we'll move the arm that way to start it. That started up nicely, and let's see how this is going to play. That's playing quite nicely, isn't it? In fact, it's playing that better than I was expecting. Right, we'll let this play out, shall we, and then we can see it do its full cycle. Bit worried with a record of this weight that it might struggle a little bit, but that's obviously a nice powerful motor that they use in these. I'm actually quite impressed with this little deck. I haven't found any information about them really. I've not done a huge amount of looking, but I am going to. Turn that down a little bit. I'm pretty certain this was probably made in Russia, or at least the USSR, the former Soviet Union. I will double check that, but Iskra, it rings a bell from equipment from that, that part of the world. It has that look about it, actually, slightly utilitarian look about it. Relatively impressed with it, I have to say. Even though you'd think it'd be like super cheap and with just being a plastic deck, it doesn't seem to affect it that much. Obviously we're not getting the best this deck will do, because we've not got it actually suspended at all. We do have mounting springs underneath. We have all the suspension, all the washers and the cups and everything to hold it in place, actually on a proper motor board, which will get rid of a lot of that background noise that you get, which is literally from the fact that we've got it just sat on these. There's no form of suspension on it at all. fact, cartridge wise, I'm just thinking now, that cartridge actually works really well in this. I'll probably just use the stereo version of that cartridge, which I think I've got some actually. Let me have a look. I think I do have a stereo version of that. Yes, we do. So I could basically use that. That is the stereo version. That's a BSR SX5M. It's medium output. Again, it's basically the cartridge I've used for testing, but it's a stereo version of it. It does seem to work very nicely. Let's just make sure it shuts off. There we go. Lovely. I'll just take that off there now. Put that back on there. So yeah, I am really pleased with that. Like I said, this deck just cost me a £5, and that included that good 8 Aircost cartridge that I got with it. So we didn't think that was going to work, but it's perfect. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So that will go in, like I said, that will go in a deserving record player in the future. The deck itself, like I said, this is destined to go in a rather nice Japanese. Never sold in the UK, they were only sold in Japan. Radiogram I've got from probably the early 1960s. And this should be the ideal deck to go in that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. This wasn't meant to be a long video or anything. I just wanted to see how this deck played. See how it worked and whether motor and everything was okay in it, and I thought I'd bring you lot, along for the ride. So I'll say I hope you enjoyed that little video on this ISKRA turntable. So thanks for watching and goodbye.